Hello everyone, welcome back. Let's continue our lesson for Reflex from Python. On the last video, we talked about how to install Reflex, including how to set up virtual environment, make a project directory, install Reflex, initialize the project, and run the server. And we talk about modified code a little bit to grasp the general flow of Reflect frameworks. Now let's start another lesson. On this video, we're gonna talk deeper on how to create a web application using Reflex. So on this video, we're going to build our website from scratch. But before that, let's run the server. Now our app is running on localhost port 3000. Let's type in localhost 3000. Okay, great. This is our lesson from the last video. Now back to code. We're going to build from scratch. Let's delete this. First one, you need to import Reflex and give it an alias as Rx. Why Rx? You can name it anything, but Rx is preferable. And after we got Reflex, we need an instance of Reflex. You can assign to the variable app and call rx.app. So this line's code is for. Now save. Okay, already set up. Now, as you can see, there is get slash, but we got for over because on the root class or root, there's nothing we can offer from backend to frontend. So we need to adding some roots. To add root, we need function called addPage, and we need a component and root, basically. So a component is building blocks. We're gonna write all our code on component, so component can be rendered in front. Okay, delete this first. We talk about component. So component is a core of Reflex Python. Reflex framework Python have a lot of built-in component. For example, let's say Rx button, and we are assigning it to root slash save. See, when there's get request to root slash, we got 200, and when we go to code, there's a little button, but it's ugly. There's no text in it. So back to our button, and then we can see, let's say submit. Now our website. See, there is text in it right now. Submit. So this is a component, basically the simplest way you put it. Rx button is one of many built-in component that comes with Reflex. But of course, we are not write all our code in here, but rather we usually type in a function that return a component. So let's say my button, and what we need to return is Rx component, and we returns our button. Sorry. And in here, call my button. Save. Back to our browser, and it's still there. Okay. A component can be nested. So if you say function, let's say my box, and return Rx box. So Rx box is a built-in Reflex component too that basically say a box that can have as a child. So we can call my button, and we can create another two like text. This is box, and save. Pick our code. Wait for the reload. Forget that we need to call my box instead of my button. Now back again. Okay. So basically our component can be nested. Beside a built-in component that Reflex has, we can create a custom, not a custom, I mean, you can use a tag HTML too, like let's say, let's write in here, Rx element L dot the tag you want, let's say div, and inside div, you need element P with this is paragraph. Save. Back to our browser, and there you are. Paragraph. On a component, there is a child and property. Let's say on text component, you have child string and you have property. See, a property like size. Let's say size equal to 60. Set. Wait a minute. There is something. Oh, size is the maximum 9. So let's say 8. There you are. This is the property of component text, and you can style it in other too, in CSS style, inline style. But you need to type in snake case. So let's say on div, you can say border 1px solid. Wait, and there you are. There is a border. This is called a property. That's all for the component. Now we're going to a backend. So let's say we need this string to change dynamically. So we need a backend to handle it. To create a backend in Reflex, we need a class. Let's say page state. This is a state that's gonna hold all of variable, function, and of event that has a trigger on the front end. And we need in the class Rx, right? And this is where we write our logic, where we write our dynamic variable. Let's say greeting with type string equal to hello world. To use dynamic variable, we need calls class and then the attribute. Now save. Okay, let's clean this a bit. Save it. Back to website. Now there's hello world. This is called dynamic attribute. So to change the attribute, let's say there's my button in here. So my button come with a property called unclick, unblur, unfocus. You can use like scenario you want. Let's say unclick. I want to fire something like page stat change greeting, right? So where we put change greeting, this is a method we attach to the class and we call change greeting. So in order to change greeting to have a value or other correct information, we need to put rx.event handler in here. So this is called event handler. And the parameter should be false. It refers to the class itself. So when we need to change greeting, we refers to self greeting to goodbye, let's say. So when the buttons and click, the greetings will change to goodbye. Let's save. Back to our website, reload, and click change. There we go. There is a goodbye. Now let's dive more into it. This is our simplest change greeting, just like what we did on the last video. Let's create another one. Let's say we need to create a counting. So count to 0 and over here, let's say rx h start. H stocks. It's usually meant a div with horizontal flags in it. So we need button and let's say increment 1 and then rx account refers to page state count. Let's make it more bigger, like heading. Right, save. Back to our application. There you are. There is increment by 1 and 0 count. Let's have a little bit space in there. So to give it space, let's say spacing equal to 5 and margin top equal to 10 px. Save. There you are. Okay. But currently, this increment by 1 is not function at all. We need a back and forth. Back arrow code. So when our button is clicked, the count should be +1. Right? We need an trigger. Let's say increment by 1. Increment itself. So count plus equal 1. And then attach this on click to each stat increment. Now save. Back to our website. So it should be running. And why not we have a decrement too? That's right. There's heading. Let's create a button. Decrement by 1. On click. Let's say decrement. Here we have trigger event. Decrement source and minus equal to 1. Okay. Oh, need one here. Refresh. Now back to our code and decrement by 1. So it should be working, right? Now, how to increase it not by 1 but anything else, something like value, how to pass an argument into this function. So to do it, we need an anonymous function called lambda in Python. So let's say we create another function trigger. Let's say it's given the increment, say source, and the amount we need to increase. So amount. So this thing need to be passed from here, right? So let's say we need to increment by 5. On click, let me. Okay. Now we need something called lambda and function. I'm sorry. We need on click first. On click equal to lambda with function one, like we can call it directly, say increment which say dot increment, and we pass the value of amount, let's say 5. Save. Now back to our website, and when we click increment by 5, it's increased by 5. So if we want to create another one for decrement, rx even def decrement, say increment source 1, source 1, 1. We basically can use the same function, but I write it, I duplicate it so you can understand what's the difference between these two. You can say that the other one like amount and give it a value of 1 for default. So when we not pass anything, it should be increase 1. It should be decrease 1 for the default. And when we passing the value to the amount parameter, and then it decrease according to the amount, right? So I duplicate so you can understand what's the difference between this. Okay, the decrement. Let's me it. Okay, click lambda page state decrement by 4. Now back to our browser. Reload. Increase by 5. Decrement by 3. Something. Oh, increment by 4. And by 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Okay. Okay, currently I'm not really satisfied with how it looks on the top left. Let's make it more centered so we can clearly see it. Okay, change to code, and we need to wrap it just like a fish tag. And fish tag have spacing of 5 with justify at center. It will make all of the children in the center, but it should be on the top center, not in the center of the screen. So we need a minimum height of, let's say, 85 viewpoint height. Okay. Back to the website. We need a width before it, so we need to wrap it into a container, already a layout by Reflex. So there you are. Save. It will be in here. Here you go. Hello world, change, increment by 5, decrement by 1. Okay, good. Let's create another example. Let's say you have, say we have another child called Rx stock. So the age tags have children input. This is input from Reflex. Input, we need a name called, let's say, theme. Let's say input first. Then called tags. We create another dynamic variable here. Let's say input first tags string. Then here we page stats, put first tags. So name of it. On input, we can assign a property called onBlur. So onBlur can pass an argument, not just onClick, but onBlur can pass the value of the input. Let's say onBlur we fired call page state change input. Call change input source and value, right? And value will change input first text the value. The value should be SCR. Now the input first will render from our input in Rx input. Save. Back to our website. Now there is nothing here, text, but if say text, there you go, test. It says example. This is on blur, but when we click outside, change, right? And we see another. We can apply it to the on change too, I think. Okay, the on change. Back to our browser. On change, this is dynamic. See? This is a dynamic on change and on blur for an input. Now let's talk about conditional rendering. So maybe you want something like this heading to be rendered, but in one condition. Remember that you cannot put logic on component or arbitrary Pythons in component. You need to do it in the backend. So let's say we create another example of odd and even, right? Back to the code, let's say we have even equal to 2. So when Rx even we have to go even odd else. So even go to not even. So whenever toggle even or trigger, self even will be false. Now how to use a conditional rendering? Let's say we have hcheck and Rx text with Rx button toggle even and on click via change toggle even out. Toggle even. Now on rendering, we need to check. First, we need to check the value, true or false. What the value we're looking for is state even. So if even is true, then we can call page state we call even. Then if false, then on. Save. Our website. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot something. I forgot to include something before this. So to use Rx conditional render, you need something called Rx condition on. So the first one should be a condition true or false. So like before, page state even. And now what we render when the component is true, when the attribute is true is to render text. Even false, then now save. Go to our website. Sorry, not even. To our website. Wait for the reload. Even to go. Right? This is a conditional rendering. So next, how about a list? How to render a list? We usually use something like for each. So how to do it in Reflex? Let's create it. First one, we need something called list. Let's change it first. Let's say fruit list with type list and string. Let's say apple, banana, and strawberry. Right. So how to render this? Usually we even go like here called, let's say RH stage. We call rx dot for each. So for each need an iterable or an array, we say, or a list. So what our list name is page list fruit list. Now the next parameter will be what function to render, and let's call it render item. But it's warning because we doesn't have render item function first. And we need, let's say, render item text rx for string. Let's call it a file item. This is item with value rx4. Now each for each item will return something like list, something like list dot item thing, and then say item. Save. Now it should be working. I'm sorry, wait. Forget that the function should belong to the class. So if we want, we can say page state like this. But this is not gonna work. To able render a component, to return a component, we don't need source, and then we need to cut it into outside of class right here. This is a custom component too, and we delete it, render item, and save. Now back to our website, apple, banana, and strawberry. That's how you render a list. Okay, next, what we forgot. Oh, in the even condition right here, we can too add an operation in here. Let's get another one. Let's say h with rx condition with that something number modulo 0, then we'll render text even. or your browse render on, right? So when we have a button, sorry, Rx, something called increment, and we give it a on-click increment. It's the increment condition. Copy and Rx even definition solve, and then we increase it by number equal to 1. Number, save, back to the website. Oh, there's something wrong. What is this? No reflex attribute counts. Oh, small c, not. Okay, save. The website, even odd, even iPhone bot. So that's all on the basic of Reflex framework Python. But the last thing I need to tell you about is how to handle paging. So as you can see on the bottom of our script, there is add page, my box, and root. Usually we have a multiple page, right? Let's say add page for root slash bar, add page root slash contact. So let's create it. First, we need this tree root as our roots, and this square root will be the index. Let's say index. Our component name is index. You can type in component.index, but since it is a positional argument, you can say index. Now we need roots about. So we need to define a new function, new component called let's say about. We take Rx component as a type written. Let's say heading. This is about page. And one more is contact. Say Rx component in Rx. This is contact. Then we assign about contact. Save. Now back to our browser, and let's type about page, contacts. But it's so ugly. Maybe we can use something like a component link, right? Let's add it in here. Where I'll put it. Let's type in here. Rx and Rx link, and Rx link. Wait. It called what is called but, and ref should be slash but, then string contact ref contact. Save. back to our browser, about page, and contact. Okay. That's all for this video. So for the next one, we're going to dive more into it. So stay tuned and don't forget like, subscribe, and click the notification button. And thank you. Have a good day.